What up, ladies and gents? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is George Bean, and to start out this review, remember the World Trade Center Twin Towers folk art I mentioned in my Condor review? This is what I am talking about. Tell me what you think about it. I made it out of cardboard and hot glue, and the antenna is just simply a little, what's it called? One of those toothpicks, and my mom loves it. It looks exactly like accurate to the real set, to the real buildings. It took me a long while to get it in scale, but it does look amazing. Just tell me what you think about it. It's pretty good. I made this a long time ago, on the 15th anniversary of 9/11, and yeah, I'm a folk artist. So, to get now out with that out of the way, today I am concluding this double feature with the Sydney Pollack Double-Feature with his 1993 legal thriller film, The Firm, starring Tom Cruise. You know, back at a time when he used to be married to Nicole Kidman at the time. The Firm was based on the 1991 novel of the same name by famed novelist John Grisham, who wrote other legal thriller books such as A Time to Kill, The Pelican Brief, The Client, and many others, and still writes those types of books to this day. The Firm was Grisham's second novel he ever wrote, and his first being A Time to Kill, but it was Grisham's first novel which had gained wide popularity and had put Grisham's name on the map, and as a result his first novel, A Time to Kill, came back into further prominence afterwards due to the Firm novel's success. The Firm novel had sold up to 1.5 million copies, and so Hollywood came running in to adapt it into a movie, and this movie was released on June the 30th of 1993, over a month after I was born, and 2 years after the original book's publishing. Upon the film's release, it received a positive critical reception, with Roger Ebert giving it 3 stars out of 4, and it has also gone on to gross over $270 million at the worldwide box office, remaining in the #1 spot at the box office for 3 weeks, making it a huge success. And it was also the largest grossing R-rated movie of 1993, and of any film based on a Grisham novel. And also, this movie was released on the same year as another John Grisham adaptation called The Pelican Brief, starring Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts, and was directed by Alan J. Pakula, whose other credits include Clute, The Parallax View, and All the President's Men. The early 1990s was a time when John Grisham and also Michael Crichton was extremely popular with his or their books and movie adaptations. The plot: meet Mitch McDear, a young law school graduate who is trying to find a law firm to work in so as to provide for his wife and to achieve a luxurious life from it. He is invited into a small Minneapolis law firm who offers him the best deal of his life: a big paycheck, a new house, and a new car. With that kind of deal, Mitch thinks nothing could possibly go wrong. But then, he slowly but surely realizes that he is an unwitting pawn for a much sinister game, in that the very firm he works for is actually working in connection with a mob family in Chicago. The worst thing is that nobody has ever left the firm alive, and he is thus stuck between a rock and a hard place, as the FBI also wants him to act as an informant. So if he works for the FBI, the firm will find out and kill him. Or he can turn the FBI down, but eventually they will crack down on the firm, and Mitch will go to jail along with his co-workers. Now Mitch must do what he can to help the FBI take down the firm while also trying to survive. Once again, this movie has a stellar, star-studded cast. Some you may not have actually known have been in this movie. Of course, you all obviously know who Tom Cruise is. If you haven't even heard of who he is, then how big of a rock have you been living under? Cruise plays Mitch McDeere, someone who is bribed by the firm with fancy new toys to blind them from their true sinister plots. In one scene, he performs infidelity with another woman, kinda cheating on his wife for this one time, but afterwards you can obviously tell that he feels guilt-ridden by what he has done, and it also pains him to keep it a secret from his wife. And when the climax kicks in, you actually root for him to succeed in his plan to get out of the firm alive. Second on the cast is Gene Hackman, who's also well known in other films such as The French Connection, The Poseidon Adventure, and even the 1995 submarine thriller Crimson Tide, which I had already reviewed a couple years ago. Here he plays Avery Toller, a top-ranking member in the firm and Mitch's mentor. For a while, you wonder his true allegiance to the firm, but in the end, you honestly sympathize with him as you realize that he secretly regrets working in the firm, and he is also afraid that what had happened to him will also happen to Mitch. Next, we have Jean Triplehorn as Abby McDeere, Mitch's wife and a school teacher. I remember Jean Triplehorn more so from the 1995 Kevin Costner film Waterworld, which was a guilty pleasure for me. She's okay in this film, she's just there. That is until she anonymously helps Mitch out in his feats during the film's final third. Next up, Holly Hunter plays Tammy Hemphill, Eddie's secretary and lover, and Mitch's eventual ally. If you recall, Holly Hunter provided the voice of Elastigirl in The Incredibles, and its upcoming sequel this year, and she had played a senator in Batman v Superman. Can you believe that? Now here we also have Ed Harris, whom I've known very well in the 1989 James Cameron film The Abyss, which is quite possibly my all-time favorite film from Jim Cameron. Here Ed Harris plays Wayne Terrence, an FBI agent who coerces Mitch into helping them in their fight against the firm. Of course, it's the FBI he's working for, and we have a minor dislike towards the FBI for their tendencies to intimidate people to get what they want. But there's one scene where Mitch manages to turn the tables on Wayne, forcing the latter to become more cooperative with Mitch, which may become a nice cathartic moment for people to see the tables turn on the FBI. But he is still a helpful ally for Mitch by the third act. Next up, we have Wilford Brimley as Bill Devasher, the head of security for the firm and their main hitman. You may remember Brimley from other such films as John Carpenter's The Thing, where he plays Dr. Blair, who... John Carpenter's The Thing, where he plays Dr. Blair, who goes nuts and destroys Outpost 31's radio system, and another film being the 1985 Ron Howard drama Cocoon, where he plays one of 3 elder-aged men who discover a swimming pool filled with extraterrestrial cocoons which gives them the power to become younger. Here, Brimley's Devasher is, you may possibly say, a prime villain of this movie, as he is the one who investigates into Mitch's past and current activities, and is thus the one who leads the hunt for Mitch in the climax. It's always good to see Wilford Brimley in anything that he is in. And we also have Gary Busey, who plays Eddie Lomax, a private investigator and a former cellmate of Mitch's convicted brother, Ray. While Busey is rarely in the movie, but he does provide a pretty good performance in his little screen time before he gets shot and killed by the firm's hitman. But as always, Busey is great in anything he's in, especially as the villain, Mr. Joshua, in the first Lethal Weapon film. I'll get around to reviewing Lethal Weapon some other time. And also, do you remember Tobin Bell as the Jigsaw Killer in the Saw films? Well, he is in this movie, believe it or not. Yeah, I shit you not. In this film, he plays an assassin working for the firm, and his character is credited as Nordic Man. No, really, that's actually what he's credited in the movie. But Tobin Bell was really good in this as a silent but cold hitman whom you may not want to cross paths with. And finally, we have Hal Holbrook, whom you may recognize as the corrupt cop villain in the Dirty Harry sequel Magnum Force with Clint Eastwood. Here he plays Oliver Lambert, the top head honcho senior year member of the firm. He only appears minorly in the film. He's simply there as the bigger bad villain who runs the entire film, but he does give a good performance in this film. And funnily enough, his son Boyd Holbrook had also played a villain in the 2017 X-Men film Logan, which as of now has been Hugh Jackman's final outing as Wolverine. Now for the music score, the music was composed by Dave Grusson, who had also collaborated with Pollack on 3 Days at Condor. I will say, Grusson's score on this film is really outstanding to listen to, especially when it involves the piano keys. I really do love when the piano is put into the music score, especially when it something that has really been used in movies nowadays, but has been used most prominently in War for the Planet of the Apes. As mentioned in my review for that movie, there's one scene where Wilford Brimley speaks with Mitch and he reveals him photos he had taken of Mitch's infidelity, blackmailing him. And during that scene, piano keys play over the score. It is such a beautiful tapping of the piano to listen to. It always brings tears to my eyes whenever I hear that piece in that scene. The piano is such a beautiful instrument to use for music. Now, I haven't had the chance to get this movie on DVD and watch until a year ago or two ago, but I have heard of it back when I was a very young kid, when I had always watched The Money Pit with my which my pops had tape recorded on a videotape on the Channel 11 WPIX channel when they used to show movies on Saturday night in New York. I think he taped that movie back in 1993. He'd also recorded the commercials as well, and I remember the commercial advertising the firm, but I did not read that far into it until I was in my teen years and had barely read the book in my school library. But after finally watching it, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It is a pretty great legal thriller about a young law student who finds himself the pawn of a sinister law firm that will do any means necessary to protect its interests. Now, I do know that the firm has been developed into an NBC TV series in 2012 starring Josh Lucas, which acts as a sequel to the 1993 film, but it was cancelled after just one season. To say, I still haven't had a chance to watch the series yet, but it'll possibly take me a long while to get around to watching it. Now, in all honesty, I never really did care about Tom Cruise's star power. I only care about whatever performance he gives in any film. I especially liked his performance as Hitman Vincent in the 2004 Michael Mann thriller Collateral. But in this film, you have somewhat every reason to side and sympathize with him throughout the film, and you actually want to see him survive his feat so when the third act comes around, when he has to go through an intense cat-and-mouse chase across the city to evade the firm's hitmen. So, overall, I'd possibly have to give the firm a rating of 7 stars out of 10, because it is an intriguing 2.5-hour-long legal thriller with an interesting conspiracy mystery to uncover, led by a pretty great cast of characters at the helm, and a veteran thriller director who knows how to direct a conspiracy thriller perfectly. The cat and mouse games between the protagonists and the antagonists is very edge-of-your-seat suspenseful to sit through, and keeps you intrigued into the movie. And despite its 2.5-hour runtime, this movie feels like it flows through its runtime very perfectly. So, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And what do you think of 3 Days at the Condor and The Firm? That is, if you had ever had the chance to watch them. Let me know what you think of them in the comments below. Once again, thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the movies, and until then, I will see you all next time. Peace!